All right. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Cast 5 podcast. My name is Fayez, and I'm joined today by the entire team of Cast 5: Rohan,
What's going on, fellas?
Theo,
Hey.
Farhad, and the
What's
young
up?
lad himself, Daniel.
Hey guys.
But before we start, I want to let our new audience members or podcast listeners know that we are Cast 5. We're a group of friends that love to discuss or review video games, animes, movies, entertainment news, or in general, any topics that matter to us. And hopefully they resonate with you as well. We also stream on twitch.tv/cast_5. And currently we are streaming parts of Endwalker and Demon Souls, as Daniel has never played any Soulborne games. So, we'll talk about that later. A few housekeeping items for you guys. We have a new young lad in a corner episode on youtube.com/cast5, and it's a review of the Book of Boba Fett. Daniel and Farhad discuss what they thought about the series and see how accurate their predictions was about the entire series, which was also episode 3. So check that out as well. They also discussed their hopes and dreams about the upcoming series, Obi-Wan Kenobi. And personally, I'm very excited for this. As mentioned before, we have uploaded Demon Souls Part 3 on youtube.com. And it's Daniel, Farhad, and I tackling the Tower of Latria. It's going as well as you can imagine. Daniel dies a lot. Spoiler alert, he dies a lot. A lot more than I thought he would, but yes.
That's a given for most video games, not just the Demon Souls thing.
Oh, Demon Souls is just more often.
It's compounded exponentially with Demon Souls.
It feels like torture and Tower of Latria, doesn't it?
100%. But I'm happy with the fact that he's actually enjoying it. Lastly, we also have a reaction video up on youtube.com to one of the best music videos I have ever seen in my life. And I forced the entire team of Cast 5 to react to this wonderfully hilarious and bad music video.
You're a little too proud of that video, man.
I'm very proud of that video, man. Think of a Pakistani Tommy Wiseau singing about very seductive eyes. And yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. So make sure you hit that thumbs up button, as it helps with the algorithm on YouTube to promote our channel. And hit that subscribe button with the notifications turned on. If you enjoy our content, then you can always help out support this channel through patreon.com/cast5, and members get exclusive content. Now, that being said, and putting it all out of the way, let's jump into today's topic of the show, guys, which is the impressions of Elden Ring. Farhad and I have taken that journey as Tarnished to venture out into the Elden Ring and become Elden Lords. And so far, oh my God. Oh my fucking God. So I'm gonna turn it over to you guys. Any questions, anything that you have, please go ahead and ask us. We're an open book.
First question: how hard is it in terms of scales in Souls games that you played so far?
I'm going to interject there for a second.
Oh yeah.
What is Elden Ring? I have absolutely no idea. Is it a Demon Souls game? Is it something related to Demon Souls?
Wow.
This is all fresh to me.
Okay.
I'm aware it's a video game, and that is the extent of my knowledge.
Farhad, do you want me to tackle this?
Yeah, you got this.
Okay, so Elden Ring is it's part of the Soulborne series. So it originally started with Demon Souls, then Dark Souls, then Bloodborne, then this game Sekiro, and now Elden Ring. It's a type of game that actually started a brand new genre, where it is the fact that, yes, when you die, you start from the beginning of the level, and basically what it is you get to keep your skill levels and everything, but you lose your currency. And as you get, yes, you unlock shortcuts, you tackle dungeons, you do what you need to do, and there is a beautiful lore surrounding every single game, but it's up to you to find out. If you don't care about the story, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Every game is like the similar. setup?
Every game has similar mechanics. They change as games got better. Obviously, the game design got better, and they started using different engines and so forth. But every game has a little bit of a gimmick that they want you to use to get better and better. Combat's extremely tight. They tend to be 60 frames per second, albeit now they tend to be 60 frames per second. The exception being Bloodborne, which I'm sure is going to be remastered, and that is one of Theo's favorite games. But the difference with this game is that this game's lore is co-written by George R.R. Martin.
Oh, okay.
But you still have to go out and actually like find items to actually fully flush out the actual story, like within the game itself.
Yes,
right? That's
it's
still part of the actual Souls experience.
It is very ambiguous. So if you have ever played, and Ferhad put it the best yesterday, if you have ever played Zelda Breath of the Wild, or if you have ever played Genshin Impact, this game is that, but on crack. So, to answer Rohan's question, is this game's difficult? This is harder than all the other games.
Like, yeah. Okay, in what aspect? Like the combat, the like I suppose like the combat is like one of the main driving focuses of the game, right? So like what is it like about like the actual gameplay that's particularly more difficult than on all the other ones, all the Soul games that we've played so far?
Fine, I'll let you answer this.
The movesets, dude. I think it's just you would think of like I was talking about this yesterday. There's a boss that looked like Capra Demon, but like his moveset was just entirely different. Like they added more and more and more to it to actually make it more difficult. And that's what I fucking loved about it. And another thing about the combat is that if the monster hits you, there's a very small window where they can hit you on the ground. So it's really relentless in the fact that if you're on the ground and you're still trying to get up, they will come and hit you while you're coming up. It's not like they jump back and like wait.
So because
they're gonna hit you.
Since the world is so open and so vast, and there's no different. Generally, when you play Dark Souls or you played Bloodborne and so forth, the different sections are connected, but it doesn't give you a full world scope. To like this, you just dropped in and here you go. Here, you're dropped in and go nuts. Do whatever you want to do. If you want to go north, go north. You want to go south, go south. Go east. Ferhad was playing the game before me, and there were a lot of things that he did not find that I did. And there were a lot of things that Ferhad was telling me that I would have never found if it wasn't for his help. The caves are interconnected. So you can go in from one side and completely come out from a different section of a map. And it's populated with different enemies, different style of enemies. And the best part is, out of all of this, is that there's verticality. So you have a horse. You can double jump on a horse. You see a cliff that you want to go to, you can go to that cliff. You see that waterfall you're seeing in the way past distance, you can go to it. You want to jump down from the waterfall all the way down and not lose health? You can with the horse. You want to do horseback riding and fight enemies in a camp that you're noticing far in the distance? You can.
So it's completely like open world.
It's
like
completely open world, just like how Breath of the Wild is or Genshin Impact would be. So, but the game looks gorgeous. The game runs at, I would say, mostly stable 60 frames per second. There are dips time to time to 50. But when I talk about enemies, I'm talking about bosses.
Okay.
Bosses are out in the open.
Souls games always have the most unique and interesting bosses, right? In
Fog, this one has unique bosses.
But this is different. This is Sekiro type of level bosses that are just like in the world that you just go. You're like, oh, you see that guy in the horseback ride? I'm gonna go fight him, just like how you would in Assassin's Creed and so forth. You played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, right, Daniel? So like you see random people walking around on a horseback. You're like, okay, I'm gonna go assassinate this guy. And then at the moment he sees you, you see a bar coming up. You're like, oh, what the fuck
Yeah.
did I jump into?
And then you see him sprinting at you, and you're like, "Oh,
He's not a
fuck,
random
what did I
NPC.
do?"
I'm screwed.
Nope.
Oh, that's interesting. So wait. So you could actually just randomly like you could go to like let's say a castle or something like that, right? And you're thinking like just regular enemies, and then you could just stumble upon a boss, like an actual boss, just like, oh, that's unfortunate because at least he had fog doors, right?
You can easily since you have the horse though, it's really easy to just run away from them if you wanted to. And another good thing about it is that there's a thing called summoning pools now in the open world. And let's say if I were to die helping Faiz, he can literally like kind of stall the boss until he comes back to that summoning pool and summon me again.
Oh, so it's not this whole like freaking like hoops you have to jump through to like go to a spot. Okay, put your sign down. Okay, I'm going to summon you now. It's like, okay,
Oh, you
let's
still
go
have to
once
put your
again.
sign
You still have to put your sign
Oh.
down. You still have to be at a specific area, which is the summoning pools and so forth. You can put your sign down to an area like if they don't have a summoning pool around. Summoning pool will just activate that section to allow summoning. But me and Ferhat, we're using the password system, so we've been abusing a lot of areas where it's like, Ferhat, just drop it down here. I'm running for my life, and I'm waiting, hoping to God that I see a golden written letters on the ground where I can quickly come and summon. And bosses, no. Bosses, like,
when people are being summoned into your world.
they will
run at you if you go there.
run at you. So
Okay, so it's easier to summon like allies, but also a counter to that, bosses are like coded to recognize that when more people are actually coming to help.
not only the fact that they're coded to recognize more people are coming to help, their HP increases. Like 2 people versus
that
3 people.
happened before, does it?
It does not happen
It
before.
it has.
It has.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I
okay.
never noticed that.
I don't know.
I used to kill them
Usually
so
because
quickly.
when you summon me and Ferhat, we wreck them.
Okay.
Yeah,
here,
but this time,
this you
dude,
can't.
like
You can't.
they have a fuck ton of HP. It's
Like
crazy.
they become so
Would they
tanky.
probably scaled it up? That's
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah,
a lot
I think that's what
more.
they did.
A lot more.
I wonder how much of this, like the enemies, like more dynamic actual gameplay, right, and stuff you have to like keep track of, right, in terms of like fighting the bosses, is a result of speedrunners. Like you guys have you seen like actual Souls game speedrunners? They play the entire game without getting hit, like no run,
Mhm.
no run speedruns and shit. Like that's it. So
Any
they must have
skills.
like. I wonder how much of that like was affected. I'd be interested. I will actually like go
I
and
don't think
like,
it really
learn about
had
that.
any.
But still,
impact.
that's nuts though. But like from what you like, I would love to see it, actually. I'm planning on like getting into like Elden Ring, but I have a little bit of a backlog, as you guys may know, a little bit. So just a little bit of a backlog. But yeah, no, definitely. God damn, man, I'm going back into it just to die again and again and again. But I'm glutton for those games, man. I really am.
It's not as okay. So here's the thing. So every time I'm playing a Dark Souls game or a Soulborne game, there's this feeling that you get when the door opens up and you're out of the. He's like Frad's like nodding right now because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. You come out of the tutorial area and the world opens up. So Yarnum, for example, in Bloodborne, when it says Yarnum, and you get this little tingly feeling. You get a little anxious because you're like, okay, this is so like this is happening. We're in this. I understand what I'm getting myself into. I'm gonna die a lot. I have to play this game on my tippy toes and just just survive and make it to the next bonfire. Here, it's as he said, it's on crack. So it's not I need to go on tippy toes because it's not corridors, it's nothing. It's just a map. So you're like, anywhere I go, filled with monsters. Anywhere I go, I'm going to die. So I need to figure out how in the world I'm going to survive. So they've added crouching, they've added jumping, they've added double jump with horses, they've added, and the bonfires themselves, you just see a golden, like if you played Ghost of Tsushima and you activate the wind and the wind shows you where it needs to go, the bonfires or it's called Essence of something, right? Ferhad? Essence of whatever.
Essence of Grace? The
Essence of
bonfires?
Grace, yes.
Yeah.
So they have slight golden fireflies around them. You may catch it, you may not. Doesn't make a difference. But yeah, you are looking for those as much as you can. So that kind of stuff, that kind of anxiety that you would feel when you first start and you're like, yes, I'm in this. I understand what I'm getting into. The sheer size of the game is gonna freak you the fuck out before you start in a good way, in a very, very good way, because it is just so much just thrown at you when you're like, okay, I can just go anywhere. So there's parts, and I was exploring that Farhad has not seen on the map, and he was like, oh, where is this? So we were share screening on PlayStation 5, and he was in the top right corner, and I'm seeing where he's going, he's seeing where I'm going. We're trying to meet up in places and so forth. It was fantastic. But at the same time, the enemies, the way they go about it, about going their business, how many enemies in which areas they're being respawned are going to be slightly different based on the time of day, based on whatever schedule you have. And on top of that, you actually have to plan to kill these enemies.
Is there, hey, Farhad.
What?
So, sorry, you kind of cut out a little bit.
Oh,
I was gonna ask if there was like a day-night cycle, because you said like, oh, depending on the type of day and stuff like that. So there's day and night cycles. So like,
Yep.
do harder enemies come out when like it's at nighttime or something like that?
Different enemies come out
Different
rather than
enemies.
night.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's fair.
And you have to plan your way. You have to figure it out because all of them have trumpets, and they can call
Oh my
back up. So
Like, let's talk about the fucking trumpets for a second, okay? So let's say you're playing.
New. Is that particularly new for this Souls game, or there has
Yeah.
like been
It's
stuff-
particularly new for
think-
Souls,
I think
but it's
not
been an
as
idea,
often.
and yeah, it wouldn't really work because you could just kill them, right? And it wouldn't, you can't hear it. But in this
If you
fucking
catch them
game,
fast enough, yeah.
yeah, in this fucking game, you can't catch them fast enough. As soon as he whips it out and does this, they'll know. They'll know.
Oh my god.
Everyone just starts swarming you in the night, and I mean everyone swarms you. It's not just one or two. It's literally the entire vicinity heard it,
So
The-
run away.
and they're just like, "You're gonna fuck you up." It's like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
So it is. We had some amazing moments that we are gonna share. We're gonna tell you guys and stuff without spoiling anything, just to tell you guys exactly what's been going on, what we have been doing. But
So
yes,
what
questions.
classes have you guys been? What
Right.
classes guys playing?
So classes. I picked Samurai. It's brand new to this particular series. Generally, they do have with Scimitars. I think they were called Wanderers, and now
Yeah.
they're called Soldier or something close to that. But they start off with longbow, not the short bow, longbow, and they
Has
have,
there ever been a Souls game where you actually start off with a bow?
yeah. There's a few that you start off with bow, but nothing longbow, no longbows.
Yeah, it's just like a short bow usually.
Yeah.
So if you are going to be going and sneaking around and you're going to be attacking and stuff, there's a dedicated jump button. So like there's a lot of stuff you can do. There's a lot of
jump.
ways. Yeah, you can jump and
You
attack.
told me when you told me there was a crouch button. That means they have
Yeah,
stealth
there's a
now.
crouch button too. Yeah.
With the samurai, they must have been like, oh man, that Sakura was like too popular. We have to get him in there somehow.
100%, because
Yeah, probably.
the way he moves, how quick he moves, what he does, and so they balance him out by giving him a wooden shield rather than a metal shield. So you still take damage, but if you have a metal shield, at least you will be able to deter damage back. So Farhad, God bless his soul, gave me a metal shield very early in the beginning because I don't know
What
how
else
I would.
did I give you? What else did I give you?
We'll talk. Don't
Okay.
worry. We'll mention this. We'll mention this. Don't worry.
Farhad
Hundreds.
gave you the soul.
Everything.
They came in handy though, right? I
I
protected your
gave
ass.
you everything.
I protected your ass. Let's not joke around. But enemy campants, man, beautiful. It is as vast and dense you would think that they would make a Souls game if they wanted to. And I have to mention the creature design is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. It is so creative. In certain parts, like this boss we faced yesterday, and he was a bitch. True to every Souls games we've played, we always beat them quickly on Farhat's file. And when it comes to my file, for some sheer reason, these guys are on like steroids. They don't die. So we die a lot.
Putting
when
arrows up the ass, probably.
it is.
Oh, I had to go get. Oh my god.
I bought more arrows too. We kept spending, but we actually had to go and farm a bit to get enough arrows. But I went samurai. Farhad, where'd you go as?
I went confessor, so they're kind of like the faith dudes.
So they're
Elden Ring?
Okay, so I actually found the classes. They have hero, bandit, astrologer, warrior, poisoner, confessor. That's you, Farhad. Wretch, vagabond. Vagabond looks so freaking cool, actually. Prophet and samurai. That's actually
Wow.
really neat. That's
Yeah,
very diverse. Holy crap!
Yeah, the starting classes seem a lot cooler than the rest of the Souls games, don't you think?
Yeah.
Mhm.
The vagabond reminds me of
Yeah, that's cool.
what's his name? Though he had the wolf, right? Or is not Ornstein, the other guy. Anyways, from the first
Dark
Souls
Souls,
game.
the expansion, the DLC
Yeah,
that came out.
yeah,
That guy.
Artorias?
Artorias.
He looks like Artorias. Okay, anyways, now man, I'm
Wow.
kind of going out on that one. Yeah, but like no, that is so freaking diverse.
Rohan, we know you're still hung on Dark Souls because that's the only game you finished 7 times.
7 times?
Yeah, I got a little too into that.
He didn't play 2.
It was a good game though.
He didn't play 2. He didn't play Bloodborne. He didn't play 3. Dark Souls was his thing.
No, I got like halfway through
Dark
like,
Souls 2, yeah. I'm talking about finishing. I'm talking about finishing.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
2. It was 2. Because remember that little circle thing that you jump down, gets the cat's ring?
Yeah.
And it
Oh
leads
yeah,
to
Like, I
the
still
two.
remember that
The
part.
well, yeah.
The well.
Yeah. But,
Daniel,
yeah.
what about you? Do you have any questions since you wanted to know what Elden Ring
He
is?
just lost
And
on
we
the
have-
ride.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I found like playing Demon Souls with you guys. It's a fun game to play like as a group, but it's not my cup of tea. Like I wouldn't like go and do it myself. Like I don't think I'm gonna go buy it. That's just my feeling of it. Like, and you're saying it's harder than the rest of the games before? Like, yeah, it's gonna be a constant stream of me dying constantly, and
So here's the thing. It's harder in terms of what enemies can do. But that also means it's more versatile in terms of the stuff you can do. So stuff that me and Ferhad have been able to do so far, we have not been able to do any of that stuff. I guess the closest thing would be Dark Souls 3, right, Ferhad? When me and Theo played it. So
Yeah.
if you have a group of friends to go and play with, you're gonna have a blast, absolute blast, because you can be range, you can go in be an aggressor, you can be mage. The spells look absolutely amazing, and the cool part is if somebody shoots a spell at you, you can hit it with your swords and kind of deflect it or cut it,
Yeah.
which is
Take less damage.
you take like it's really cool.
Like
Like
a parry.
yes,
Kinda, yeah. It's like a
yeah,
semi parry.
Oh, that's sick. Okay, we have to kind of admit, it was like when we got into like Souls games, we were like from the beginning,
Yeah.
right? It's like that's when like Souls game just like started off. Even before like Dark Souls, we were playing Demon Souls, right? And Dark Souls was just like spiritual successor. But yeah, we started off from like the ground floor when Souls games started taking off, right? And then people maybe didn't necessarily were like totally into like harder games like the Souls series introduced people to. Yeah, they were hard games before, right? But just not quite like Souls games were, right? So hey, it's still probably for a certain type of people, but
it's also it gives you a lot of the bonfires or the essence, so you can rest a lot more places. You can explore a lot quicker because you have a horse. There's a different thing. So my recommendation to you, sir, would be come over one day, sit down, and just play it with Farhad or Theo, and just see how you experience it. Because if you can take over a camp with these two, and you don't have fun, where you're like, okay, maybe this is something I want to jump in and try it out, then you will see. the way Farhad plays the game, he's very tanky, so he can go through the game by himself, no issue. I take my time because I do archer, mage, or I'll do dual-handed weapons. Theo just has his own weird builds, all status effects and so forth. We have the history where we can figure out play smart and kind of go that route. But it is, I was watching the Demon Soul just say having you fight Squidward, and I was seeing like there's a level of patience where it'll click, where you're like, okay, I can't attack right now. I have to dodge. I have to do that. You have to play like every hit's gonna kill you. You can easily die. It's not like Final Fantasy or Horizon where there's basic enemies and then higher level enemies and so forth. No, even the basic enemy will kill you.
A group of basic enemies will wreck you like immediately.
Yeah, there's no tears.
There's no tears. Like that's
everyone's
just
wolves.
Yeah, wolves.
You can pause.
So,
pausing go to menu doesn't help.
Pause. Can you pause now?
No, you can't pause.
No.
You can't pause. You can bring up the
All
map.
right,
You can bring up the map, but you can't pause. Here's the thing. Speaking of wolves, there's the AI is insane. So we were running down this part, and we were kind of like crouching and going, and we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna go take over this battle campment. And there's just like, as we were walking around, we're like, Frad, what's there? Let's go check this out. Frad, what's there? Let's go check this out. So we're seeing random areas, and we're just kind of going and just exploring. And then Frad's like, yo, did you hear this? I'm like, hear what? He's like, I heard this noise. And he's just like, Fine, turn around. There was a herd of wolves just following us.
They were stalking you?
And
I heard like them howl.
and
They were howling before.
and we had no idea. They were following us. Fully trying, like, and just they were just gonna jump and attack.
And they were keeping their distance. I
Like,
because I was
they're
looking
waiting
around when I heard it, and I'm like, I don't see anything.
Farhad saw one and he started attacking, and I turned around and I'm like, yo, there's 5 all in the distance, just slowly walking towards us. But
It's pretty smart AI.
the boss yesterday. Okay, so let me tell you guys about this boss.
Oh god.
So, generally speaking, in any of the Soulsborne games, I've noticed that, exception, I guess, would be Bloodborne, because Bloodborne doesn't really have a lot of arrows. But the other games, if you're using arrows or you're using any kind of projectile and so forth, they'll target you first. Because you can hit them in the head, you can have them stagger, you can do all of these things, so you can do fun stuff. So they will, the moment you get hit a few times, they'll come after you. The boss yesterday recognized that I was using arrows, so he was shooting, doing this move where he circles around, creates a tornado. Any arrow you shoot at him will deflect and come back at you. Doesn't matter what type of arrow it is, and he'll throw that tornado at you. 2 of them. And they're ridiculously hard to dodge. If one hits you, chances the second one's gonna hit you. And if you can run around, and it's not even it's wind. So even if you're hiding behind something, the debris will hit you. So you'll still take damage. So the moment we started, like, I was using arrows, it adapted. It knew right off the bat. So it couldn't come at me because it knew that Farhad was attacking him. So it didn't like stop, then just rush at me, and then Farhad would hit it and it would turn around like how the other games do.
It was multitasking.
Yes.
It was both attacking you with the wind attack and fighting Farhad at the same
Mid
time.
combo, he would switch to Fayez.
Mid combo.
Really new though. I don't remember any of the older games had bosses that would like switch their patterns based on how different players were attacking at the same time. That's really sick.
That we were shocked. The more arrows hit,
Adapted.
the quicker he adapted, and we're like, he was using the tornado move a lot more, and then he
Not only
gets,
that, the tornado move has 2 moves. So he can either do the wind attack, or he can like do a dash attack at you and smack the ground. You have no idea which one he's gonna do, because he just randomly switches between me and Fayez.
so
He can either do the missile attack or the ground smash.
So he did it in the middle where he threw a tornado. Remember, I said if he throws a tornado, he's going to throw 2. He throws a tornado. He threw 1, turned around, and just bam, slash Farhad right into the ground. And Farhad was so thrown off. But there's a lot of areas like that. But the fun part is that we also are very capable. So we went in ready. As he said, he's like, how many arrows did I give you? I've had probably used about 1,000.
I gave him 500 arrows.
Yeah, so we had to learn very, very quickly how to like use it, because a lot of the other games, if you lock on, the arrow's gonna hit you. No, if they're walking around, it'll miss. If you're walking, the arrow is gonna miss. So if you're aiming at the enemy and you're walking at the same speed, you'll miss the arrow. Because by the time the arrow reaches the enemy, you'll be went past you, right? Because you have to stop.
So you can adjust your aim for wind direction.
Exactly,
And all that.
but you can't. But you
Oh.
cannot. You can't lock on. So you have to use the actual eye to aim however you need to. So like
Reminds me of Shadow of the Colossus. I love that shit.
it is
It's a crosshair. You have to like aim like a crosshair, like a first-person shooter.
yeah, 100%.
So the point is that you you don't align the crosshair with the target.
You lead
Depending
it.
on
You
wind
lead it.
direction.
You shoot where it's going to be.
Yes,
Yeah.
and where the wind would blow the arrow or whatever.
That's it. That's it. So in windy areas and so forth, it's harder to hit, which was Storm Whale. So we had to go with swords and stuff. Rather than we actually had to fight like with swords. He was fighting anyways with swords, and I had to use arrows. But that kind of stuff is really, really, really fun. But I'll give you an example of our fight yesterday. I took a picture of this because this was fucking epic. So we were fighting this boss, and this boss was on Farhad. Doesn't matter how many times we were hitting him, whatever, he was on Farhad. And Farhad was, it was his world. So if he dies, like, obviously he's done. So we had defeated him once before. Farhad died and I killed the boss, but it didn't register because Farhad was already like in the loading screen, so it didn't matter. So like, okay, let's go back and kill him. This is where Farhad was. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see it. There's a wall, and
Not really. I can't really
Zoom
see
in a
anything.
bit. Oh, I can see it.
Yeah.
so the,
Okay,
the wall's
yeah.
right next to him,
Yeah.
and the edge is right there. He's in that corner. He can't dodge roll. Only option for him is to jump off and die. And the boss is huge. So he
Yeah, he can like push me off just by walking.
That's it. So Farhad does not have any healing items, does not have anything, and he is fighting for his life. So the guy had like this much HP left out of a huge bar. It's like it's like Godric something. So the Godric part was completely left, and Farhad's just like, "Stop hitting me! Stop hitting me! No, stop hitting me!" And he's just going off on him. So I can't use an arrow because he's hiding behind a tree, because that whole area is behind a tree. So I just ran in. I'm like, "Don't touch him! Leave him alone!" And I'm screaming. So
Don't touch my friend!
Exactly. So I stab him. He turns and Farhad's like, "I have nothing left." I'm like, "Just go ham on." So all you hear is us just pressing R2, 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 and the boss is getting hit from each angle. And we actually won. We actually won.
Staggered him out. Like
He-
you staggered him out kind of
and-
thing.
I was still standing in that spot.
He
when
was still standing in his
I
spot.
sent you.
Oh, you could have got knocked off.
That's
I
it.
was fucking like,
He is just fighting and trying to survive. He had, like, if the guy would have sneezed at Farhad would have died. Because Farhad had like 1% HP, maybe. So no healing item, no nothing, and there's like a chunk left. So things like that. Yesterday Farhad died and I had to fight the guy half of his HP by myself. And I'm rolling and dodging like I've never rolled and dodged, and shooting him with the arrows in my life. But the best part is when you go and you start looking at treasure chests, because treasure chests are being taken by guards. So if you attack the guards, like their legs and stuff, they can fall down. And they're gigantic. They're huge. So I would be arrowing their knee sockets to do as much damage so they kind of stagger and fall over.
Put an arrow in the knees.
Yes. Whereas Farhad would sneak in from the back and he would take out the people in the back. The moment that's done, the two guards on the horses would see Farhad, would see me, and just try to rush us. So yesterday, I was telling you guys a story. Was this horse is just rushing at me, and Fry's like, "Just shoot him, Fries, just shoot him." And I had my arrows, and I'm shooting the guy, and he's going down. But his HP is going down, but I can't attack the guy. I'm attacking the horse, so he falls off the horse. So Farhad can jump in and hit his head. So as he's coming closer and closer, I ran out of arrows. So he's just coming in and he's just gonna hit me with his axe. So I switch over to my blade and I do this samurai stance and I'm ready. He's like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "My ultimate attack." So as the horse is running, he's like, "Do it, Spice, do it." So Bleach Rukia's move, which is Sugio Mai Hakuren. So I fully went some vertical slash. I'm just like, "Sugio Mai Hakuren." And as I hit the horse died. The guy fell off the horse, and you just see Ferhad leap off this cliff with a gigantic axe and just come and hit the guy in the head. And we all just went off on him. Then this guy noticed us killing this guard, and he blows a trumpet. We turn around, and Ferhad's like, "Oh fuck!" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "What did you say, Ferhad?" He's like, "Well, we don't back out." What was it?
What was it? I said never surrender.
Never surrender. So this man two-handed, he's like, "Never surrender, fight." So he's waiting, and you just see one enemy, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. The entire encampment just running at Ferhad. And he's by himself, dual-handed, just waiting. He's like, "Never surrender, Fayez."
Yo, Jon Snow, Game of Thrones shit.
And Ferhad's getting knocked.
I hit one guy. I'm like,
Oh, God. You just see them surrounding him, and I'm just like, one arrow, shooting a headshot, staggering them like, "Oh, go. We finally ran away. We're running for our lives. These guys are chasing after us. Then finally it dropped down to like 3 people, and we're like, "All right, man, let's go. 1-on-1, let's start fighting these guys." No shame whatsoever. And this is open world. So other enemies will notice, they'll jump in. And they can kill the other enemies and you. So you can set off.
So NPCs fight each other?
They can fight each other.
they can kill each other.
They can kill each
So
other.
if like a
too.
giant monster were just to come and swing at his own enemies, they would die.
They'll die. If you're using bombs, if you're using these fire cannons, any kind of thing, doesn't matter.
Wait, so friendly fire is on for the NPCs. How about you guys? Can you actually do friendly fire as well?
Why?
That would be way too chaotic.
Yeah.
That would be so freaking harsh.
So
So
we could duel each other though, probably.
yeah. And putting everything aside, one thing that we haven't mentioned is obviously you can get invaded.
Mhm.
So there's actual duels happening too on the map. You'll be going by, and then you'll see signs and things like that, and you can see the shadows of people fighting each other. So that's really, really cool. So overall, I would say that the game itself, I had high hopes. I thought the game would be amazing. It's a Soulsborne game, but my impression so far, it definitely deserves a 10 out of 10. It definitely deserves all the accolades it's getting, and they're saying right now it's the highest rated game in modern gaming history, and you can see why they delayed it. And we're only in the first area. We haven't even gone through, so we haven't explored a lot of stuff. There's some waterfalls and caves that we've seen. There's so many enemy battle cabinets that we just kind of left because we're like, okay, let's go check this area out. Oh fuck, this is a boss. Okay, now we gotta fight him. Go check this out. Oh shit, what's going on over there? Yeah. And a lot of times me and Farhad were just walking around. I'm like, "Yo, Farhad, did you see this?" He's like, "What?" He's like, "Oh fuck, where are they taking these prisoners?" I'm like, "I don't know. Let's go chase them." And we slowly followed them into this castle, this small little keep. And these guys, these slaves are working, they're breaking stone and doing all of the stuff. And we slowly sneaked in, killed one enemy after another and so forth. And that's it. It's amazing how much interactivity they've given you.
A lot more dialogue. A lot more dialogue from people.
But none of it actually explains the story. It's just people like talking about like the trials that they've been through.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's a general story that they mention in the very beginning of the first scene, but yeah, like it kind of gives you, oh yeah, go do this, and this. These are the lords, like in every single game, and you just go figure shit out from there. But yes, it really is the stories that you make at the end of the day. There's a gigantic turtle walking around, and I'm like, yo, should we go fight him? like what's going on? And I'm very curious to see what's gonna happen with him. And enemies like that are chained will break their chains. If they have a sword or something, they'll take those things out of them. There's a lot of weird stuff that you can do. Like as I said, enemy design's amazing, but it's amazing.
Would you give it a 10 out of 10 as well?
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, he did.
easily.
Yeah.
I already the day I played it, I literally messaged Theo saying it was a 10 out of 10.
Shit.
It's a hard 10 out of 10.
God damn it.
Hard 10.
It's really. I remember when Ferhad messaged me. I was so happy to hear that. Like we were hyped as fuck to high heaven for this.
Yeah.
And not only did they reached that hype, it over delivered. Like how often does shit actually do that these days?
100%.
Right?
100%.
Look at Cyberpunk. Right?
Yeah, there was
That
like,
had so much hype around it.
Yeah.
Now it's just like kind of dead because it just
AAA
affects the
games tend to have all this hype, and they tend to either be good but never actually live up or even surpass those expectations. So
recently speaking, I think because of the fact how broken online games have been, I think we've just have a little bit of a understanding. Okay, well, this is going to be broken. This doesn't make any sense. It's an open world game. This is not going to work. Blah 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 blah. Right? And Cyberpunk giving the perfect example. But like a few games that I noticed, like maybe our luck is changing now, and this is for the better. Halo delivered when it came out. Endwalker delivered when it came out. Horizon, story-wise, yeah. When it comes down to Horizon, I haven't played it, but apparently Horizon's amazing, right? Daniel, what do you think so far?
It's been good so far. So you know how last time we discussed it, I said that the story took the story from the first game and kind of said that's small picture. They then took that entire overall arcing story and went, yeah, now everything's just much bigger. We're gonna throw this massive curveball at it. And so yeah, it's been insane. And I'm loving it. I think I'm about a third of the way through the game now.
Okay. So there you
and
go.
I still have no idea where the story's going.
Well, that's amazing.
I had a
right?
major story revelation this morning, and I was like, what the hell's happening? Like, I don't know.
No, that's amazing, right? Like, so see, there
I
you
don't
go.
want to say anything without ruining it.
Yeah.
So
Horizon's probably going to be my next game that I'm going to play. So the Horizon lived up. But the thing with Elden Ring is, like, let's be real. We all know that if it's a Soulborne game. Even if it was a solid 8, we played Dark Souls 2. And we didn't just...
I'll say about playing Horizon afterwards is, I know how much you love Souls games, so going to Horizon after Elden Ring is going to be a bit oof.
Oh, I know. It happened with Breath of the Wild.
The other way around.
It happened like Breath of the Wild, right? A fully open world and everything. Go back to Horizon. It's like, oh, why can't I climb this rock that's like this tiny and you're here? Just let me go on top of it. Okay. All right. So that's limiting. But I can adjust my expectations when it comes to it because I did go to Yakuza.
They fixed all that now, though.
Yeah.
In the new game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard.
You can climb almost everything.
Yeah. So here's the thing. With Elden Ring, we all know Soulborne games, generally speaking, will be really highly rated or they'll be good. But the fact that this is like, it kind of overachieved it. Like
that's actually really, really, really crazy when you think about it. Because like, look how Souls games from even the first one, not even necessarily from Demon Souls to Dark Souls, but from Dark Souls on, generally speaking, they kept on getting better and better and better, right? And then to even still like to just like actually. But from what you guys are telling us, is just blows it out of the water from all the other games. That's nuts. The game, like Souls games, especially from software, like they've always been generally amazing, and yet they keep on reaching new heights, and yet again they do it again with Elden Ring. That's freaking crazy, man. Damn, what is this? What is this gonna stop?
They keep having these new creative ideas that they can always manage to like actually put it to the paper or put it to the game exactly as they envisioned it.
And the fact that the fact that they're able to do it and have this game run as well as it does, like if the game was just they turned around and said, you know what, the game's massive, whatever, it's gonna be 1080p, 30 frames per second, it would have sucked, but we would have been like, yo, the game's amazing, like it's running at a solid frame. But the game's not running at 1080p. It's running on a higher frame. Like it's gorgeous. The game is absolutely gorgeous. And it's running on 60 frames. So like the fact how you were able to pull that off to such a massive fucking overworld with that it's pretty densely populated too. Would you not agree, Ferhad, for this kind of game?
Oh yeah.
You'll notice pop-ins time to time. You'll notice frame drop, but that's any kind of open world game. I guess the only game I have ever felt that has not shown me pop-in to like even a little bit was Red Dead. Because that was just the horse testicles, guys. They retracted depending on the weather. Like they went to that extreme levels, man. And it was like, why do we need to know this? Why did you spend resources on this? Like, fuck. Just make it
Science.
like what that's it. That's what they did. Well, that's what they did, right? But here, when you look at these things all together, you're just like, okay, the fact that the game is running as well as it is, it's insane. But the fact that it's running as well as it is, with the boss structure, with all the shit that's going on, and it keeps it up to a solid 50 to 60 frames. Oof. And the verticality, man.
Hard to give it lower than
essentially. Sorry, I didn't catch that. What did you say?
I just said it's hard to give it lower than a 10.
Yeah.
I feel.
And for real, but like the engine itself is generally it's pretty like you said, the game is looks beautiful, right, and stuff. But like I guess it's highly optimized because it's generally the same engine like from the previous game.
I have no idea if this is the exact.
I think they remade it.
Yeah.
Because the old engines, I remember they had a lot of problems with anything above 30 frames.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Some layouts are different too.
Yeah. I don't know if in case it's a different. It has to be a different engine. There's no. I don't know if it's the same.
Okay, that's cool. That's really cool. 60 frames per second, man, above 1080p. So like what? Like 2K?
Yeah, 2K. Roughly around 2K, 60 frames. But yeah. Any questions other than that, guys?
Right, so my turn now.
Mm.
I've been dying to ask this. How much of George R.R. Martin's influence have you like felt so far?
Brad, you go first.
I felt it. You know the dialogue in the past Dark Souls, there's nothing. But with this, even from just the beginning scene, you know when you have like a cutscene when you start the game when it explains everything kind of? Even that felt so different and felt so good to listen to because this is a complete. It's not like a completely different story because it's still like Six Lords you gotta but just the dialogue of what they're saying and what they're doing, it screams George R.R. Martin.
So like there's like any specific characters because like that's the thing about George R.R. Martin, right? Not only like his overarching story that he tells generally in his like
even that last boss we faced.
I was gonna say the last boss we faced. There's the brief moment where you're like, yeah, no, this is different. This is not like the other Soulsborne games. The dialogue 100% is you feel it. You definitely feel it. That it's written by a writer. If I did not know it's George R. R. Martin, I would have thought that they hired someone or There's no way this is from software writing the dialogue, because they do, but it ends up being a little pretentious as well, because you're like, what the fuck are you saying, man? Like, just say it properly.
It's very
sound like
opaque.
Urianche or something.
It's like,
No, well, Oriana just throw the thesaurus at you. But here, but like the other games altogether, when you're playing it, you're like, okay, I kind of sort of understand what you mean, but it is not as refined as it is in this game. The couple of things like the interact. So we beat this boss. Okay, we beat this boss. This boss has some weird fucking intentions, and you can see it that this man, something's off about him. Not giving anything away, because we have to be very careful what we say. But then a scene happens where there was this one peasant that is talking to the boss as it lays dead, and is talking about his motivations, why he helped you, and he's just going off about it.
And he was stomping his head, too.
Yeah, and it just all of a sudden made this guy that you barely knew but you hated because he was a boss and the game told you gotta beat this fucking boss. All of a sudden you're like, you're a piece of shit. You are a piece of shit.
The good thing I fucked you up.
I'm very happy that we killed you 4 times, because twice it did not register. But yes, there's a little bit of like things like that. Even your Maiden of the Mist. No, so Maiden of the Mist.
Maiden of the Mist.
That is
Maiden
of the Mist is Niagara. Oof. Yes, vacation time. The Maiden in Black. That. When she talks to you, the stuff that she mentions and so forth, very different. Very, very different. The opening scene, you'll know right off the bat. You're like, okay, this is a world definitely being envisioned by George R. R. Martin. Just the
We're
way,
already in the beginning.
just very beginning.
That's
First opening scene, how they introduce the world to you, what they say, the water paintings to tell the story is amazing. Like, I would definitely buy them. If they release any of these as
Water
wallpapers,
paintings, is that in like the opening scene, or is
the
it like
opening scene? The opening scene, yeah. So they don't.
It's the game. Okay.
They don't. If you have seen any of the trailers, like the initial trailer that when the game was announced, there's a few scenes that were very animated, and it was like computer. It was CGI. They took some of those parts and they kind of made it into a water painting to kind of tell a story of what the history of this world is, and it's gorgeous. Like, I hope they release some of these things as themes for the PlayStation. That would be fucking awesome.
That would be so awesome.
They're gorgeous.
Oh, okay. That's one to go.
But they explain the story. You understand what happened, what your motivations are, and okay, there's this world. Let's go find out. And as you find these weird lords, you're like, okay, let's see how they influence the area around. Really, really cool.
Okay, that sounds pretty sick. But also, actually, just did a little digging here. The Elden Ring actually is the same engine from Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, and Sekiro. So, like, they must have optimized the shit out of it, anyways, right? So that's really cool.
I can see. I can see the Dark Souls 3 part. Sekiro, they use the same engine, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
They use the same engine, huh?
But I would not imagine Dark Souls 3 use the same engine as Bloodborne. Considering how much better Dark Souls 3 ran. Yeah. They must have just kept, like, did some really good tune-ups.
Wow.
Yeah, that's impressive, man. Those boys are from software. Yeah. They damn know what they're doing.
Guys, I would say 100%.
Time with this one.
Sorry.
It was worth it.
Yes, they delayed it 3 times, and it was 100% worth it. You can see the love. 100%, I would recommend it. Me and Ferhad are gonna play it afterwards too. After all this stuff is done, I'm very, very excited. But Daniel, come play the game with us.
Hey, okay,
and we'll make you into a believer.
Okay. How about this?
Curiosity, guys. Last night, when you two were playing, I was with you guys in voice chat until 12 at night. How much longer did you go on after that?
3:30. Till 3:30.
We're good Dark Souls fans, though, right? We're Souls fans, so that I understand that. But like, hey, but
Fire is
Yeah,
back.
but guys, like, if there was one thing you could actually suggest to them, like if there was any other Souls games that Daniel should actually try to play, this one versus any of the other Souls games, right? For him to actually choose to actually play by himself, right? That you just absolutely recommend that you would have to do, right? Would you suggest Elden Ring or one of the, you could only play Elden Ring or one of the other Souls games?
We actually had this conversation yesterday with me and Farhad. And Farhad's like, yo, I think we're doing Farhad. He's like, I think we're doing Daniel a disservice because he should be playing Elden Ring and streaming this.
Ooh, really?
It's so much better than Demon Souls.
Oh,
As I said,
So much
how easy it is to jump in, to understand the mechanics, to know what you want to do,
to summon people and then
to summon people, to everything. It's very, very simple. As I said,
modern game. It's a straight modern game, right? So
if you decide that you're fighting an enemy and you cannot beat that enemy, you can just leave. There's no corridors blocking you. There's none of that. You can leave. Just leave.
There's no default door.
Call your horse and you're out. Call your horse and you're out. That's it. Simple as that. Go figure out
bosses as well, like major bosses.
Not the fog door ones.
Oh.
Not the golden fog
There
door.
are still fog door bosses.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But those are at the end of a dungeon. You're gonna like go through it, and every single small little area has their own little bosses. But yes, like I do agree with Farhad. Like that's why I'm very interested to see his take on it, and we can share play. But I do come over one time. I'm gonna give you the controller. I'm gonna give you a controller. Go nuts. The world's your oyster. Go nuts. Do whatever you want to do and see how you feel. But play it with someone. You have to play it either with Farhad or myself, and so we can kind of sort of guide you, and then just do what you want to do and see how you feel. It's Final Fantasy is McDonald's for me, as I told you guys before. Like I come back home, I'm tired, I would just want to do something mindless and just kind of go through certain things. I'll put it on and I'll do it. Exactly. Kind of just go through it. This is, I can definitely see myself turning around and say, like what I did for Red Dead Redemption, would be, you know, that battle camp, I really want to know what they're hiding. Okay, I'm just going to focus on that battle camp. It's going to take me 15 minutes. I'm going to go through it, quickly do it. And then 4 hours later, I'm like, yeah, so I had to go and I had to fight this guy that was that all of a sudden had blades for arms, and we had to kill him because he kidnapped some other guy and blah, 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 blah. Which game does this remind you of, Daniel?
Similar to either Red Dead or a Far Cry.
It's exactly like Red Dead. Shit just happens. And you went to go from one area to Valentine, and later on you're running away with your life on a train because you kidnapped someone's baby. That. Just instead of guns, you have a sword. That's it. So 10 out of 10. Absolutely recommend. Jump on it, guys. All of us have a PlayStation 5. All of us have an Xbox. Except for Theo, he has a PS4 and it's cross-platform. So we can all play together. 100%. If you guys love it, jump in. It is deserving of all the praise it's getting. Any last thoughts, guys, before we close off for today?
Man, I think we covered the whole gamut, really.
One more thing that I want to ask. So, in the old Soulsborne games, like Sekiro and everything, it was always that whenever you see a shiny, you fucking want to get it because you're always curious what it is. And you know there's a very good chance it's something good. With how big the map is now, is that still the same? Like,
it's a shiny.
Most shinies are worth.
There, you can craft. You can craft items. You can craft humanities. You can craft all these things. You can craft different type of arrows. So you're going around collecting stuff anyways that you're gonna end up using. But if you see a shiny, which is a shiny ball, it gives you different type of skills that are associated with different type of weapons. You want to use a samurai weapon and so forth. You kill some random tumbleweed looking shiny thing. It gives you a skill for that sword. I have this mighty arrow guard thing for my arrows, and it hits harder if I'm using the skill points. And I was able to get it randomly actually with Farad. So anytime you find Chinese, sorry, go ahead.
So it's a random loot drop. Like Ferhad didn't get it on his file.
No, some of the stuff he doesn't have it. Some of the stuff I don't have it. I dropped off this meat cleaver for him recently.
You can also like if you're summoned into another person's world, you can also grab items too. But it's your own loot table.
Oh.
So like Fayez can get a sword from that guy, I can get like a piece of armor.
Wait,
random.
Has that happened before? Because no, that's even more incentive to actually go across, like to.
The only thing that I'm a little upset about is the cross progression is still missing, but I get it. Like it's not an MMORPG. I get that. Like if we beat a boss together, we have to beat it again.
Yeah, you don't get to beat that boss.
Yeah.
You have to go do it yourself. Okay.
But by the time we unlock all the areas, we already know where the areas are, so we can run through it and we can do all of that stuff. So it's not that bad. But the items make it well worth it. I really like the crafting system. It's super easy.
Yeah.
I killed a boar. I got these thin bones, and I killed this huge bird that Ferhad hated because that bird would not stop trying to kill him.
How come blew fire out of its mouth? How do you even do that?
And it has swords for feet. So we finally killed this bird. It gave me these feathers, and the thin bones and the feathers made these insanely strong arrows. So it's like
because like other for the okay, yeah.
So I made it worth it.
Monster Hunt mats.
Yep. So I made it worth it.
That's kind of like a Monster Hunter kind of.
Completely open world. Monster Hunter's not even completely open world.
I mean the crafting.
The crafting, yeah.
Crafting, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that will do it for us. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. This is our Elden Ring impressions. Hopefully, we'll bring you more stories and scenarios of random shit that some of the Cast 5 members are doing together in the world of Elden Ring. But comment down below and let us know. What are your thoughts and impressions of Elden Ring so far? Are you truly enjoying the game? Is this going to turn you into a soulborne player? If you've never tried any of the other games, what do you think of this? And if you have played the other games, I'm very curious to know which one was your favorite and first Soulborne game. For us, was Demon Souls. We started quite young, not as young as Mr. Young Lad, but we were trying to get him there. But comment down below, let us know. As always, we are available on all podcast services all throughout the globe, on Spotify, on Apple, on Anchor, on Google, you name it. We are there. But please check us out. And that would do it for us. As always, sending you guys nothing but good vibes from your friends at Cast 5. Ciao.